Matt Bagara,
Here.
Mickey Law,
Here.
and Gilbert. Cora Smith, here. Rocky, both Clayton. Rachel Morford, here. Sarah Eschelbrenner, here. Gail Brown, here. Jacqueline Swadley.
She did email that she wouldn't be here.
Did she?
Standardized testing this
Okay.
morning.
Has anyone read the minutes and would like to make a motion to accept as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Anyone opposed? Moving on. Public comment for anything that is not on the agenda today. Moving on, downtown enhancement.
So Vanessa Warren is here to give an update on the work that has been done on the Merchants Walkway. Vanessa, take it away.
Great. I think you can, here we go. Okay, so there's some new faces from the last time that I was here. I'm Vanessa Warren. I'm a landscape architect with OHM. And we are doing engineering, design, and placemaking for the Merchants Walkway, which you can see right along here. This is just a visual, but yet this visual has been our guiding force light through this entire process, understanding the property owners, the easements, and what needs to be done, what can be done, and so forth. This was always our guiding map and everything. So you can go to the next page. So within this, I think A is kind of checked off. There we go. We had a concept that came before. We had an interest feature, whether that was a seal or a compass. It was just something that was stamped in the walkway, basically just to help people move through the site, maybe give a sense of place, sense of identity to it. We had a fountain with a tile and a seat wall. We are not fountain designers, but the fountain has always come through in these concepts. But we're gonna hopefully talk about that in a little bit. Bench seating, seat wall with planters. We have a colored concrete pattern. So the brick, which is being damaged, it heaves, it's maintenance issues. We're trying to get the look, but by doing it with colored concrete, landscape plantings, and then we have columns, which are concrete columns, which right now we have tiles proposed for that. Once again, trying to bring in the sense of place and the businesses that are around the area. So this is our base map that we were working off of. This is the survey and the topo that was done. Here's the concept that we were working off of, just to give you a sense if you were standing in the site. The bench seats, which are very simplistic. They are those blocks, those squares. What's great about those is that they can be many, many sizes. They can be sat on from each end, every end. There's no back, but yet that, has more accessibility, and it has more things that you can do with it. There are the columns that I spoke of that are concrete with the tile on. There's the seat wall with the planter. The stairs are falling apart. The stairs needed to be redone. When we did the grading plan and the drainage plan, which is really driving this, we were able to regrade it, make it accessible, straighten out the stairs. They were crumbling, the wall was crumbling. So all of that is then going to be fixed with this project. Grading, we're capturing water. Currently there's water that's going down and it's sheet draining. We're capturing it all. We're putting it into pipes, and that problem should go away. Okay. So this is our grading plan. It's a lot to take in, but I mean, grading is a big deal. It's a big process. It's complete. So we have all of the walls in place. We have all of the stairs in place. We have straightened the stairs now, so they're not on that angle. It's definitely more accessible. We have helped with all of the drainage. Next. This is the area that has been entirely graded. We just have that out of scope there, just so you understand what our limits were. We have to connect into the existing grades in all of these out of scope areas. So grading smaller areas is actually harder than grading big, enormous areas. We have the planter, which is 2-tier. That's what allowed us to do it. We have our steps. Actually, we were able to lose a step when we regraded the walk that went to Spring Street. So it's just going to be very streamlined, aesthetically pleasing. Next one. That's just a look from above. Here's our planting plan. Very similar plants that are already downtown and already are in that area. Here's just another view of the walkway. The right one is like from Spring Street. So this is a new wall now. We have plantings. I have some questions about the existing fence that are there. Details are being developed. And I would say we are about 85% done with our engineering. But we are now to the point where I need help. I need some feedback. So hopefully, maybe you read this, it went out in the packet, right? Yes. Okay, wonderful. So as you guys can imagine, there's an existing wrought iron fence that goes along that walkway that comes from Spring Street. Save it, lose it, sandblast it, repaint it, reinstall it.
Yeah, that's a good question. So is the thought, I wasn't here when you first probably presented.
Yeah, it's been a couple of months
Has
now.
it? Okay. Is the idea to replace it with more fencing, different fencing, or just remove it totally and have no fence in that area?
That's the question.
That's the question.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
the
that's
question.
the
Now,
Oh, okay.
as a designer, I would feel better if there were a fence there. We can say that we've got that over 3 feet, so we have the fall zone. We can put plants in there, but a fence just once again reiterates, this is where you walk. Do not go in the landscape. Do not hop on the wall. But that fence needs to be addressed. It can't, if we take it out, it's gonna need work before we could put it back in. Or we do something, we do a different fence, completely aluminum. That's, been painted, that will, last a long, the wrought iron will last long, but it will rust. But it's also a gorgeous fence.
Cora, what do you think? I mean, you have maybe some experience not with the fence. Or with that kind of
Material,
material.
not really.
Okay.
I mean, I know who to talk to. I know who to talk to about sandblasting and powder coating, but I don't. No, not necessarily. I mean, I totally agree with you. I think that's a great idea because I'm literally seeing myself at age 16 walking along a steep concrete wall.
Oh, sure, and you're gonna have skateboarders. I mean,
100%.
They'll
I'm
take
seeing
it
all of my childhood.
Yeah.
Right there. And yeah, so I definitely think that that's for safety because that's a 5
Oh, yeah.
fall
Oh,
down
yeah.
from there.
We
So,
graded it down a little bit, but it's still a
yeah,
good chunk.
that'd be a good fall. So I definitely agree that a fence, but I'm like kind of blanking. It's just, is it just like a metal fencing right now? I don't even know. I don't know off the top of my head what's there.
Yeah, so it's wrought iron, but it's rusty.
Oh, okay, it's only like the smallest,
Yes,
okay,
yeah.
yeah, okay,
Yes.
not super tall, yeah, I know, okay,
Yeah.
now I know what it is.
Yeah, and we would be happy to salvage it as part of this project. We just need to know to put it in there for the contractors to do it.
I would save it, I would try and save it if we can, if it's beyond saving,
I mean, I
then,
think the fence itself, like the structure, she's right, it's a very cool piece. So maybe we could like get your contact and talk about sandblasting and
Yep.
powder coating it to see if we can
Because then
save
we
that
would-
part.
Well, the contractor would do that.
Okay.
So when it goes out to bid, the contractor's gonna look at the fence. If they say, listen, this is not salvageable, then we punt.
yeah, I feel like,
Correct.
I feel like we start there and
Yeah,
see.
let's do that.
And if they say, you know, but I mean, this is wrought iron. I mean, these are the fences that are around 200-year-old cemeteries. I mean, this ain't going anywhere
Yeah.
if we can take care of it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Then I would say, yeah,
excellent.
maintain.
Gonna put that into the contract. We'll have specs out on that one. Okay, stamp colored concrete. It has always been brick patterned. It has always been red. It doesn't have to, but this is the time now
I say yes, we wanna,
because we're replacing.
we
the
wanna
brick.
replace what it used to look like, we wanna
Yeah.
continue what it has looked like, and
Yeah, I
that's what we're
agree with
going
that
for.
one. Yeah.
Yay, good. Okay. Once again, that seal, that stamp, it's pressed concrete. It could be anything. You wanna maybe go to one of those? Yeah, I mean, we've done compass roses, we've done seals, you know, we've done all sorts of things just to, once again, give folks a sense of where you are. You're in the city of Harbor Springs, but defines public and private space. It helps with the linear movement through the space. That's why we proposed it here. Is this something that the group likes?
I personally do. I have since the beginning. I like that it's the downtown Harbor Springs logo. I think that's from my standpoint.
And a seal
And didn't we
coat.
talk about that would be, the actual laying of the ground would be the first thing that we would do?
Yeah.
And then we have to go back and look at
Yeah,
our
yeah.
finance before we do anything else. I know Johnny has something that, real quick,
Well,
you
just-
wanna do this?
One question. You guys realize the design is awesome, and I know what you do. But you guys realize by trying to get a stamped colored brick pattern in a place that you have virtually zero access to get equipment and things into, how expensive that is. And maintenance of it. Because you can't get equipment in here, we have zero access to get anything in and around here. And because the city utilities run through there, if you ever have to tear that out and replace it, what it's gonna cost. I mean, I think, I love the design, I love everything about it. I just look at
It's tough.
Now that I don't
See
sit
the way it is.
up there behind the big seat, I just want everybody, I brought props, I have stamps in the back of my truck. Cause I mean, I do this every day.
I know.
But I just want everybody to understand that this is top of the line, and it's a process and it's expensive.
The problem that we have been up against for the past almost year is that what we were originally gonna do, which was just put concrete down, we got so much backlash from the community in that area that they basically completely stonewalled until we came back with a design that looked like this. So we haven't even gotten to the part about figuring out how much this is gonna cost. Cause we had an original plan and we had to completely scrap it and start over. And now we're being yelled at by them for not being able to get anywhere, but I mean, you know just as well as we do that we would have had this done a long time ago, had we not been stonewalled. So, I think that we're just trying to get to a point, and then if we get there, then we realize it's gonna be too much, and then we have to start back
Well,
over again.
maybe in your bidding process, have option A,
Yep.
B, so to speak.
Can we do that, Vanessa? Just
Of course we can.
Okay.
because.
Yeah, let's do that. And then that'll be at least one less stuff we have to come back with. We'll have
Yeah,
a couple
absolutely,
options that'll
100%.
be in front of us.
pay for it.
And if we have to go back,
Well,
if we have to go back to what we originally talked about, then that's where we're gonna have to go.
Yeah.
I mean, but let's get to that part first.
Thank you for that, Jen.
Yes.
as far as the stamp goes, I'm not attached to it. I'm not saying I'm for it, or, I mean, I guess I'm kind of neutral on it.
You guys wanna see what it looks like? I mean, is everybody familiar with it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like the idea that it's giving a sense of like where the public.
I definitely like that as
spaces
well.
are.
That
I
it's,
think
you
that's
know, a public
important.
space,
Yeah. I think we need something there that it shows that it's a public area.
It creates interest.
Yeah.
It also helps mitigate the change, right? I mean, there were brick pavers there. So, and you know, brick is found throughout town. There's no doubt about it. You're not getting a concrete truck in here. This stuff is being wheelbarrowed in. I mean, part of it might be, you know, they might have a chute that's long enough, but I mean, it is a lot of hand tooling, a lot of hand work that I know can be done very well by local companies, but all that takes time and all that takes money. We're not putting down a road and a sidewalk. Okay, the retaining wall and the seat walls that we have that are necessary for retaining. Right now, I just have a plain wall. Is texture desired? Is color desired? No, just leave it a straight plain wall.
I would say a straight plain wall. I mean, that's,
I would too.
I mean, I think that we don't need to add, you know, too much, make it too busy, and I think that that would just be
It's a
simple.
small space,
Yep.
perfect. Okay. Okay, tiles and the columns.
As we have not, we are definitely still willing to donate tiles. I have not done, what is there right now is placeholder designs. We have 17 different colors, 18, 19, maybe different colors that we can work with. I'm happy to create a handful of different designs for the DDA to look at, so it's kind of up to you guys, but that would be, someone would have to install them. I don't do installation, but the actual artwork would be free of charge. So,
And we would make it part of the contract, so the contractor would install them and you would just provide them.
yep, so we would be happy to do that, so that's up to the DDA.
I think it's perfect. I think I've said it before, I think it's a really good way to still tie in local businesses that care about this area. I like the idea that there's another fountain back there. But I do like the pops of, you know, the color pops, and I like the vertical part of it to make it a little bit more aesthetically pleasing personally.
Okay, we're gonna leave it in. So then the next,
On those columns, can you add limestone caps,
yes,
so the water's not running down the tile?
root and edge into it. To the water running off, great idea. We won't see what our model is. Okay, how much work does the DPW feel comfortable doing? And you don't have to answer that. You can think about that. But whatever the DPW can do, that's gonna come out of the contract. So, you know, and what I can do, Lucas, is I can forward you the plans where they're at now. You take a look at them and say, hey, listen, we totally feel comfortable putting in these pipes. You know, or anything like that, okay? Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna still figure out what the DPW feels comfortable doing. And then whatever they do, we will just simply back out of the contract and make sure that there's language in there that the DPW is gonna come in, they're gonna do their thing. And then, the contractor can come in, do the concrete work, and because everything else has been done by the city. you have any questions for me?
Any idea when we might have are you looking at getting a bid for this all at the same time?
Well, if we divide it up into like options, yeah, I was, and I was hopeful to do that in the beginning of the year.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's
I
wonderful.
think we're just talking about the fact that we do have to get the groundwork down. That would be like, from a safety standpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think getting it all at once just to, and we can.
And the
break it down
walls
from
are
there.
crumbling, so, you know, grading the walls and the walkway,
Yeah, important.
but we can get the prices and we can take a look at it.
Yeah,
If
that's
we have to react, we'll react.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Which I feel like is where we need to be, so.
Yeah, how far out do you think we are from getting that?
Yeah, I wanna go out to bid in January, so next month.
Okay,
Fantastic.
excellent. Thanks, Vanessa.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
No other questions about that? Moving on to old business, snow removal on the CBD.
So city council, I told city council we needed more information. And we decided not to contribute at the time to the general fund for snow removal in the CBD. We sat down with Lucas and Victor, and discussed it further. And we discussed, myself coming back and asking DDA, if they would contribute 5,000 for admin fees, which after speaking to Nick Whitaker, the city clerk, it seemed the DDA couldn't pay for out of TIF money, but they would be able to pay out of the special assessment fund.
Thought it was 15,000.
We changed it.
You changed it.
Well, we also changed how the plowing would happen. Like, he's not gonna go, Jono, the DPW, won't go down to the CBD first. That's gonna be last on his list for the day. So the 5,000.
Whether or not we pay, whether or not we donate, or it's just always gonna be, we're always gonna be last.
If we do the 5,000, that's for the admin fees,
Okay.
for then billing the businesses.
Oh,
So either way, that'll be his system.
I think also you forgot that next year, they're not gonna plow it all. Is the plan downtown. So it might be worthwhile to get used to paying for it and start paying to get the downtown plowed.
yeah, I mean, well, it doesn't make it cloud or not, I mean, the sidewalks are still icy as hell, I mean, I almost went down around the corner, walking to the bank the other day, really hard. So, I mean,
I think the only thing, I had a conversation with Kathy, because I remembered our development plan when Kathy and Margot did it for our the last plan that was done, and I believe it was a 15-year plan, and I'm pretty positive we were told at that time that we needed to take snow plowing out of our DDA development plan completely, so we could allocate those funds in other ways. So my only concern is that we're going out of, and maybe Kathy can help illuminate on that a little bit, since her and Margot worked on that plan. My only concern is us spending money outside of our development plan when we've had it in our development plan, I believe for the 2 development plans prior to that. And then when we were doing this and her and Margot put in the work to redo our DDA plan, we took it out, and now.
We were instructed to take it out.
Yeah, and now I personally don't feel comfortable with the way that TIF has been, the county and everything else. I just don't think that spending money outside of our development plan, because we have such legal binding rules with that's a really smart allocation of our money.
But what Rachel just said, though, is Nick verified that money can come from the assessment, not the input. So that's firm, again, I've done some research on this as well. We cannot spend outside of the TIF development plan. But there is some maneuverability out of the assessment side. And again, we were instructed by council and Victor to remove plowing from the 15-year plan and ask instead to put that money into sidewalk maintenance and repair. And we were assured that plowing would be taken care of by the city if we took on that responsibility. So it is a change of just a year. This was approved a year ago.
I don't know, Victor's the one who came up with the plowing isn't part of the
I,
deal, so
plowing is not part of the deal.
it's in the city charter, I believe, that
There's an ordinance.
or an ordinance in the central business district that the businesses are responsible for.
That's a council decision.
Right,
The DDA cannot pay for it out of development plan TIF money.
What about,
but we
like,
can play for it out of the special assessment money.
Correct.
And it would be nice to do something. We've been collecting this money and haven't done squat for the downtown businesses. If I take that back, we got the lampshades fixed.
Well, but I don't think that that's necessarily a fair assessment either, because we have things that we've been trying to do that we've been working on this for a year. And we've been
But
working
it's
on
still,
Third
I
Street
mean,
lighting.
You know, that's your little dream project. That's not something that helps the downtown.
We're gonna have to agree to disagree with that.
Well, that's fine. Disagree all you want. I don't think it's, you know, I don't know. Do we have a mission statement for the DDA?
Yeah, it's in the original bylaws.
Right, and does it, you know, I would assume that the
Economic development.
DDA is to do stuff for the downtown businesses, develop the downtown. And part of that, I think, you know, we assess the businesses money. And so let's do something with the money that we assess the businesses, and let's pay to get the sidewalk shoveled downtown and maintained.
my question is that, I'm sorry, I don't have time to follow all the meetings. I've been working 60, 70 hours a week. But they will not be plowing the sidewalks next year, so this is a $5,000 just for this year? Part one to my question? It's just a
I
1
haven't heard
year?
anything about them not doing it this year. That
So
hasn't,
that's what we discussed at city council.
that's what was discussed at city council, but that's not what was discussed between Victor Lucas and I. I'm just saying that wasn't a final decision. It was discussed at council. I'm not saying that, but it wasn't a final decision.
I'm just curious on
No.
if we're asking for $5,000 for every year, or if we're asking $5,000 for this year, because that's
It's just for this year.
that's just two different,
It's not
that's
a
two different
contract
things.
with
My other statement question is, there are areas within the CBD that are not business owned sidewalks. Like where I almost fell the other day is in front of a residential home where people do not live there all the time, which is on CBD sidewalks. In areas like that, would be responsible? I mean, are we just gonna say like, okay, you know, you're a business, this is your responsibility in front of your sidewalk. I know what my responsibility is and I take care of it. And furthermore, I take care of the other people like next to me if they haven't shown up yet. Or they're not there, because I don't want someone to slip and fall. But I don't think half of the businesses downtown, especially half the ones that are not year round, are gonna do that. So I know we've talked about, you know, giving people notices and tickets and things like that. But, you know, areas where it's residential or areas where there's not a year round business, I mean, what?
And then that money that's being billed, we're paying for the administration fees. Does part of that money come back into our fund, or does it all go back to the general fund?
I asked Victor and he didn't have a direct answer, but he did say he would think on it.
Lucas, can you add anything to this as far as, do you know anything about not plowing the CBD next year? Is that a plan that's moving
From what I
forward?
recall, the council discussed it, that this year was gonna be we enforce and make it known that the property owners / business owners are responsible for that, so we can still participate in doing the downtown. And then try to strictly enforce the actual ordinance to get it under control. And then kind of reevaluate and see where it is at that point. And if it does work, then I suppose, then yes, there would not be a need for us to be down in the CBD.
I completely understand that, and I completely back that up. I mean, I feel like people should be held accountable for their spaces. That's. You own a business downtown, you own a property downtown, you need to maintain it.
I
For the
do have a
5,000
rebuttal in that concern. I would shovel my sidewalk or clean it up, plow truck comes in. Puts the stuff right back on my sidewalk. What do? Keep cleaning it all day?
There's 11 feet of sidewalk, so you don't have to clear the entire 11 feet. It would be a path, you know, an ADA accessible in 60 inches. You can clear that much of it. And then the DPW does come and remove snow off the sidewalks quite frequently.
Well, we
I do
certainly
have the, to answer your next question. Thank you. I have the purpose of the DDA, which is in our bylaws, which is to analyze the impact of economic changes and growth in the district and develop plans in coordination with council and the planning commission to promote totally economic growth in the district. And the plan is written and was approved.
Right. Okay, well, snow plowing doesn't fall under that, and I don't think the Merchants Walkway falls under that.
It's in the plan. It's
I
in
know,
our
but it doesn't really follow your little dream there of the mission statement. But that's, you know, that's a discussion for another day.
Well, we could have given that one to council to fix since it was in disrepair.
We could give it to council.
Bring it back. But
Give it to me, I'll disband this DDA.
Okay, Matt, but I don't, okay, I don't think that that's fair either. I mean, we've tried to do something that has been in disrepair for years, that has been in the downtown area.
That's fine,
But
I'm
it's
not
not-
arguing
It's
about
not,
that.
well, you are,
Yeah,
it's
all
not
I
a
wanna
dream
do-
project, it's not a reason for us to be disbanded. And that's exactly what you just stated, because our little dream mission doesn't fall within that part of it. Fixing an area that has been in disrepair for the last 15+ years should have been something that should have been looked at far before we did. So it does fall within the economic development of the area, because if you have a city that is falling apart, that isn't doing much for the downtown businesses. My only issue with asking for money for snow plowing, this has not been an issue until this year. So why is it all of a sudden an issue now that you're asking the DDA? Is it because we actually have funds that we're trying to allocate to 3rd Street lighting, which we have a plan for? We're trying to allocate for this Merchants Walkway that the city honestly should have looked at and been like, this is not safe. The fountain's falling apart. We should look at this and fix it as a city. But now we're getting reprimanded because we're trying to do that too. So
Getting
where,
reprimanded by anybody.
what is happening? Because that, from where I'm sitting, we're being threatened to be disbanded.
It's just, I'm sorry, I'll
Thank
take
you.
that back. You can keep your little club,
I'm
Say-
sorry, keep our little club?
yes, that's what I said.
go ahead, Cora.
I was gonna say that my vote on this would be that we go forward with $5,000 for this year, but we don't make it a yearly thing. We say that we will agree to have a conversation with council, with DPW about snow plowing for next year and make a plan. That, I mean, I think that I would be comfortable going forward with it this year, but saying that this is not going to be an annual thing, that we make an actual plan of what's gonna happen going forward for next year. I mean, we're in it right now. So, and then we make a plan and say, okay, if they're not gonna do this, or if we're gonna be paying part of the fees, then maybe we get a kickback from the ticketing for that comes back to us. Maybe it's a half of it or something. Half it goes to whatever. I just think that we make a plan next year, a more solid plan. So
we
that's
have-
my
We have two things
feeling.
that we need to remember is that, number one, council approved the development plan. So there's nothing in this development plan that includes snow plowing. Number one.
We were assured that it was.
Number
gonna be-
two, over a year ago, council told us to take snow plowing out of our development plan and add in sidewalks and repairs that way.
But is this snow plowing? My understanding is this isn't, maybe that's where I'm lost. Maybe what we weren't, when we we're saying like plowing, versus if we're saying admin fees of ticketing and policing. Was that what we were responsible for before?
No,
No.
It was
We've
snow
never
plowing?
yes,
So that's what I'm saying, this is, I feel like a different thing, and that we have all, you know, talked about, addressed, reminded businesses of, that I feel like, that's why I'm saying that I feel like it definitely kind of maybe does fall somewhat under our scope for the CBD. But
is, before we make a decision on this, I think we need to find out if mayor and council are gonna be happy with the 5,000 since he thought it was 15,000.
Well, the discussion has changed since the city council.
Yeah, so when
And
we were talking about,
notified City council that it's changed. So I've been blindsided by City Hall on this. Because what we discussed at City Council was the DDA to pay half of the snow plowing this year. Next year, there will be no snow plowing downtown unless the DDA opts to pay for it. And now it's changed, so.
most people don't take the first deal offered, so it makes sense.
Yeah, but you know, it would have been nice if I would have known that it had changed.
I apologize. So what also changed with it is the 5,000 does not change that John will come down to the CBD last. So that's what's changed. Before it was splitting the cost, he would, and everything would stay how it's been every year. And then when the price went down, when we discussed that this half makes sense, can we do a flat fee? And it's more about billing to, if you will, train the businesses to take, and the property owners to take care of their own space. That is the idea, then DPW won't have to go down there at all.
well, and I mean, I understand by him going down there last, he's gonna see who hasn't done it.
Correct, that's the point.
And I completely understand that, and I mean, I walk all over town.
Right.
I walk my dogs around the blocks and I walk to the bank, I walk everywhere and I see who hasn't, and I mean, I don't think it's my responsibility to
It was,
call City Hall or the police and say who hasn't done it, but.
it was deemed that splitting it and then keeping the system the same doesn't fix the billing system. There's no way to keep track of that.
Exactly, which is something that we have talked about, I feel like, as the DDA, we've talked about how we figure it out, what we do, you know, we're not gonna pay the police to go down there once a day and make sure everyone's plowed, but I think that that's I don't know,
My honest opinion is we should wait to hear from council and make sure that Matt is happy with the 5,000 before we move ahead with the 5,000, and then they want 10,000 more.
I think that this should be a council decision. I don't think it should necessarily, if there's not gonna be plowing downtown. And whether they put it in as admin fees or plowing fees or whatever it is, I think it should just be a city council decision to say that they're gonna pull plowing of any kind from downtown.
If it's not in our development plan,
I just don't think that we should
I
allocate
don't
the money
think
there.
they can deem that, they can't deem that we have to do it.
We need to take a vote on this.
I would. Just because it's gotta go to council, it's December, guys, like, it's gotta go to council.
Yeah.
Whether we do the 5,000, they're not happy, that's one thing. Like, you can vote and say, we'll do the 5,000, if they're not happy, then they don't accept it. But to go back and forth.
I just think there's too much of a plan that needs to be put in place before December. Like, there needs to be more of a solid plan. Where are the fees gonna go? Is the DDA gonna get part of it? Is it gonna change to next year? How much more is it gonna change? What if we have a really bad winter? I mean, there's a lot of questions that don't have answers just because it feels like this has just been like put together during the winter season.
So we would be voting on giving the city $5,000 for billing
For this year only.
for this year only. So that would require just a yay or a nay.
I have a question. Right now, from what I understand, the billing isn't actually happening. That's the problem, because they don't know who did it, who didn't. Is there a set fee?
There's not, and to address, you know, whether the DDA would be getting part of the fee or a fine. The fee schedule, there isn't a fee schedule. It's not something that we would fine a property owner to then try to profit or make money. It would strictly be a fee based on how much it costs to administratively send the bill out and to physically do the work. So it would just be costing, or be the bill would be based on what the cost was to do the actual removal.
Like lawn mowing, correct? You
Yeah,
have to
like,
go along.
or if someone has tall grass someplace, we have to send somebody out to mow the grass. It would be based on how long it takes to
So-
cut the grass, and so it would be
So you're-
different.
You're saying that there is no fee schedule yet?
If we, my
Like,
understanding is
what
if we put up a fine or something like that, and we find someone that goes straight to Emmett County, it wouldn't be something that would go in.
If we put a set price in the ordinance, it goes to the county. That's how our charter, how it works. That's why in the ordinance, there isn't a set fee. I don't know the legality of that. That's a Victor question, but if you put fees and how the charter is, it'll go to Emmett County.
Have we discussed liability at all? So if we take over to clean the sidewalks and we don't do a good job, then the DDA is liable and they can get sued. Am I correct?
Business owner would be liable, I believe.
No, they sue everybody. If we vote on it,
The deal, I think the deal, or originally what we had discussed was the DDA would pay the city. So the city's already insured for plowing the sidewalks. But that may have changed.
well, that's what I'm
No one
getting
tells
at.
me.
But we're not talking about plowing. We're talking about giving them money to.
And for the
Or
lack of.
enforce.
Clearing.
Correct.
So exactly what would the money go towards then?
Yeah, that's what
It covers the cost of the labor and sending the bill and.
I thought that you just said that that would be covered in the bill that you would send to the customer.
Yeah.
It also just seems like, how do we know if it hasn't been enforced? Is it just a kind of a random number, like the 5,000?
I mean, I'm looking for it here. I'm just trying to understand, like, I'm trying to wrap my head around it for, as a business owner.
No, but you're right. I mean,
If-
if the bill is covering what.
If the bill is
admin
covering
fees are,
admin fees,
why do you need
plus,
money for
and the
admin
billing
fees?
and the labor to bill, and then the time to go plow it, then are we covering the fact that the guy who's doing the snow plowing is just, making a check mark or a note if someone hasn't?
I think if somebody made a motion that stated that we were gonna ask council to come back with more information regarding this.
Yeah, I wanna know what the $5,000 is being used for, cause it seems like the bills would be a wash.
I mean, do you have any insight on that?
Bill for the labor would be a
Oh,
lot.
it would've been-
Okay,
Sending
because
the-
I mean, it's all new to me too. I'm
That's what I
definitely.
just said.
I mean, I'm support,
I got
I'm
lines.
for supporting it, but I think that as a business owner, that knowing spending money, that, I mean, I'm definitely for the support of it and I'm for the idea of it, but I think that I definitely am now turning back around and saying, where I was about to vote yes, and now I'm saying no. I think that I need a clear picture of what the money's gonna go towards, and then I would definitely probably be saying yes. Because I wanna support things that are happening.
We can ask for that. We don't have to say blanket now. I think all of us are asking the right question.
I just think we need some more information before any decisions can be made, and I need to know exactly what city council is expecting from the DDA.
And if we need
it's
to call, I
snow
mean,
plowing-
because it is December and we need to make this decision now, if we need to call a special meeting just to make a vote, I'm all for that too. I'm downtown every single morning. So I'm totally for that.
I'd make a motion to request more information.
Yeah, I would make a motion to request more information from city council.
Regarding.
Well, I would like to know exactly how much they're wanting from the DDA. Are they okay with admin fees, or is it strictly snow plowing money that they're looking for? And then where is the fee, the admin fee, if we agree to pay for that this year, where are the admin fees going? Like how much is actually,
What are we paying?
what are we paying for?
If the admin fees are gonna be passed on to the person who's being billed, then what are we paying for?
Yeah,
So the motion on the table is, if you do say yes to this motion, you just mean we wanted for more information from the
yeah.
council.
And if we have to do this as a special meeting after the next city council meeting. If they address it then we can do
I'll
a special meeting
second
and
that
then.
motion.
Yes.
I think we need to take a roll call on that. Good.
Jody,
Yes.
Sheila,
Yes.
Dr. Dudu?
No,
Yes.
Yeah. No.
No.
I'm no also. Four and four.
Yeah.
Right? Right. Odd number four.
That means the motion passes. I think so.
Passes. I'll verify.
Yeah. Yeah, don't hold me to that.
We move on to county TIF.
Just a quick update, Victor met with the county last week, and they're still negotiating a settlement, which is good news. Hasn't ended. So, any forward motion is good news. Perfect.
Public comment about anything that was on our agenda.
I just have one hope that when this goes to council, council understands that plowing was removed from the plan at council direction. And that you guys know that we can't take it from TIF funds.
Yes.
You got that?
I will let Victor know.
And your little club knows too. Good.
Hi.
The fence. I own the fence. I'm shocked to listen to all of you talking about my property as if it's your right to do what you want with it. You don't have carte blanche. I've said over and over again that the Carrs will maintain their private property. I can't stress enough my objection to spending public funds on private property. So the fence is going to stay as it is. It's mine. According to my attorney, the retaining wall is also mine. So, and I don't know how you would get at the fence without ruining my landscaping, which you, I know we have talked about the fact that you will not be touching my landscaping. So it's shocking to me to listen to you guys talk and you don't, not one of you said, well, who owns this? The logo is also in her design on my property. Now it falls in the easement space, but we granted the easement to the city. So I approach it as I own 51% of the easement and the city has 49%. So there won't be a logo on my property. I object to spending the money on that when we all know where Harbor Springs is. We don't need a logo in the ground telling us that we're in Harbor Springs. I'm glad that John Cups brought up the expense of the concrete work in there because those 4 absolutely useless concrete pillars that are in there will appear to me only to be a vehicle for the use of ceramic tile. They serve no function, but you're not looking at the expense of those 4 concrete posts because he can't get a truck in there to pour them. And they're gonna have to go below the cross line. So they look like they're 5 feet high. And you're gonna dig out 4 feet to get them in. So now you got 9 feet by 2 feet by 2 feet of concrete posts times 4 that you have to crane in there and set in place, and they serve no function. So what do you think the cost of each one of those is going to be? Then when you do the tile, who's going to maintain it? Because tile, I mean, the brick just failed. I think the brick in the ground failed because it wasn't a landscape brick. I know why the brick on the fountain and the steps failed, and it's because of the skateboarders. If the brick failed, how do you think the tile is going to hold up? And who's going to be responsible for replacing tiles when they crack and break? And 5 years into our freeze and thaw cycle, what's it going to look like? And I agree with Matt. I would disband you because I view you as a parasite. you're supposed to fight blight, and I see you guys as the creators of blight. And one of the reasons why is this issue where you pick materials that are not suitable for our environment.
Just to address the tile statement,
Don't.
Yeah.
Don't respond.
Thank you, Wendy.
Thanks for your
I
comment.
have one more thing, and I'm going to present to Becky my easement document as well as Margie Smith's easement documents. And I'm gonna.
Wendy, you can only address the DDA board. You can address Becky privately
No,
if you
I'm
wish.
giving her the paperwork. That's-
Okay,
I'm
but during
addressing
public
you.
comment, that's happened after the meeting.
There are 3 minutes are up.
Thank you.
The language in here is the aforesaid easement.
On the
Wait.
financial update,
Your 3 minutes are up. Thanks.
Oh, all right.
on the
then I'll get
financial
up to you.
update, we'll get a full one from Nick the next time. I understand more of the TIF money is coming in right now, as well as a special assessment. I make a motion to adjourn.